Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Rona Dayz, episode 70 of the show in the after times of the pandemic, where I recap my week and talk about things that are going on in my life because of the Delta variant. Just to kind of recap what's going on with the pandemic that is still going on. LA has required masks to be worn again inside places of business. And it seems like things might get, especially towards the fall when things start to cool down, wouldn't be surprised if there would be another lockdown, or at least an attempted lockdown. I can imagine a lot of these fragile conservatives not wanting to put a piece of paper over their or cloth over their face in order to help out somebody because they're so infinitely fragile. But yeah, that would be my guess if things are heading in the same direction. I mean, most of the people who are dying are people who are not vaccinated. So not as much sympathy from me, but still, you know, it's still affecting, like, you want to talk about affecting businesses' abilities to stay open. The fact that these people are making the pandemic last longer because of their just deep desire to not give a fuck about anybody else, it's amazing. It's like they use the excuse of businesses as their reasoning to want things open again, but at no point do they have any respect for the people that have to work in those businesses. I mean, not even the businesses themselves really care about the employees. Most businesses don't pay their employees, or didn't pay their employees anymore. I would imagine most employers are expecting their employees to pick up the slack for the lack of people working, having to do twice as much as before for the same amount of money. Either way, that's where it seems like it's going with the Delta variant. As far as I'm concerned, nothing has changed in my life. Like, we could go back to a full lockdown tomorrow and nothing will change. I literally haven't gone anywhere in I don't know how long. It's been months since I've had to leave the house for anything. I get groceries delivered because that's just what I've been doing. Signed up for Instacart during the pandemic, since I, instead of going to stores and having to be around people that may or may not give a fuck about science, I figured, well, I'll just get stuff delivered here. And so that's just what I've been doing. It's super convenient for me to just order groceries. Especially for the meal preps that I've been doing. But yeah, so anything could just go back to, and it wouldn't affect me. But I know it affects a lot of other people. I know a lot of people's livelihoods have been destroyed. There's just exponentially more homeless people now than there were because, just that's what happens. That's what happens. I mean, horrible things do happen, but there's just no infrastructure set up for taking care of people when bad things happen. Just, fend for yourself. Like, more people are homeless and the billionaires have gotten exponentially richer. But whatever, it's chaos of our reality. But for me, living my life, it's the same. I have been doing meal preps. I've been using I had HelloFresh for, a while. I took advantage of one of those promo codes from a podcast, help support podcasts out there by using their promo codes, and got a bunch of meals for a discount. And I saved all their meal cards. So what I've been doing is just going through and finding one that I liked, that I remember liked, that I enjoyed, and buying the ingredients for those and then making them myself. The quantities are a little bit off. Buying at the grocery store, you tend to get quantities that are for like 4 servings. So instead of, whereas the ingredients that I would get through HelloFresh would be for 2 servings per meal. So, I'm getting twice as much ingredients. So because of that, I just make the whole thing, and then I got containers for leftovers. Basically, I just eat leftovers, which I was doing before because there were 2 servings. I would eat, the one I made, eat 1 serving, and then the next serving would be for the next day. So I was eating leftovers anyway, but it was just from a day before, and it was, a little bit more rotation in the meals. But it's still nice. I enjoy it. That's what I would recommend if you're looking into, like, let's say you want to learn how to cook, right? Something like HelloFresh or Blue Apron, any of those meal delivery ingredient services where they send you the ingredients and they're simple meals that you can just do that. Sign up for that for a few months. Collect the cards, go through the menus and pick out meals that you've never done. Really explore different things. There are meals that I've never eaten, and I cooked them myself, which is kind of a crazy thing because you don't really know if you messed up or not because you never had the real thing. But I enjoyed exploring the different meals that were available, and because of that, I got a ton of recipe cards. So now I'm just using those recipe cards to make meals because I enjoyed not only learning how to cook, but learning how to cook a full meal. Not just learning how to cook a piece of protein or put a salad together, but adding a few components to actually make a well-rounded meal, which I've enjoyed. And so far, so good. I've enjoyed the meal prep kind of experience of it all. And it's nice only having to cook a couple times a week and then just eating leftovers or whatever. But I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I also I've been upgrading my tools. I've been slowly through the pandemic upgrading my tools and my equipment, because a lot of my equipment in the early pandemic broke down. The camera I was using broke, my phone broke. A lot of things broke down during the pandemic, which was kind of crazy. It's it's like when it rains, it pours kind of a thing. So I've been slowly thinking about things that I will use on an extremely regular basis. So I got better lighting, got upgraded the tablet that I was using, got a new phone. But one of the most important things that I use is my notebook. I write notes in this. I get the soft cover, blank pages, and every episode of a Ray Taylor show gets a page. I take notes. So if I watch a movie, I take 1 page of notes, sometimes 2 pages. Sometimes especially if it's a bad movie, I have a lot of things I want to remember to talk about. So I take notes. Every episode has a note. I also use it for, just taking general notes, whether I'm going over a budget or if I'm, breaking down a project that I want to get done. I'll use it. It's just where I write things down on paper. It's the only paper I use. And I've been getting into fountain pens, mainly, when I do my paintings, the many faces, I sign every one with a fountain pen, a little dip pen into ink. So I got myself a fountain pen, just a cheap, $20 fountain pen off of Amazon. And I enjoyed that. I enjoy the fact that I only need 1 pen. It has a refillable cartridge. I have ink all over the place because I paint with ink. So when it runs out, I just fill it up with more ink, and I'm ready to go for another week or 2 before I have to fill it up again. So I'm not just throwing away pens. Pens aren't just drying out on me because I don't get to them in time. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's a good quality tool. It's made of metal. It's a workhorse of a tool, which I like getting good tools. But the writing of it, I noticed, the pen that I had, there are certain things, like when I write certain words or I make certain strokes to write certain words, that the ink doesn't come out right. So I thought, okay, I enjoy using the fountain pen. It was almost like I bought this inexpensive fountain pen just to see if I liked the reality of using a fountain pen on a regular basis, which I do. The only frustrating part of it is the fact that sometimes the ink doesn't come out when I need it to come out. It feels like it's drying out when it's not actually drying out. So I thought, okay, maybe let's buy another pen, but do a little research, see what the popular pens are, see what the highly rated fountain pens are, and go with one of those. So I did that. I searched, what the top fountain pens are, and I came across this brand called Cross, which is the pen of presidents. It is the pen that all the presidents use. You can buy presidential versions of the pen. Like you can get it with Joe Biden's name on it. I'm sure they had a Trump version of it when he was the president. Or maybe not. It would actually be awesome if they didn't. But yeah, so I looked online and found a Cross pen that I really enjoyed. It had a cool design to it, and I ordered it, and it came in. And let me tell you what amazing feeling it is to get a good tool. To have been struggling with a bad tool for not that long. Like the concept of the tool, the concept of the fountain pen, I needed. I enjoyed. It is something that I will get a lot of use out of because I take notes every day of the year. Multiple times a day, I'm always taking notes. Whether it's notes in my notepads or I'm putting notes on whiteboards. I have like 3 whiteboards to keep track of everything. I take notes all of the time because I cannot remember everything. I even have digital notes for upcoming top 5 episodes. I have digital notes for all the SEO for all of my podcast posts. Like I have copious notes in many formats depending on what they're used for. And getting this pen, let me show you the pen. I'm a little disappointed in the design. It's a little bit more gaudy than I thought. But this is the pen. It's like got a blue, looks like a blue, like ink. It looks like the colors that are involved. It's got a gold inlay, like gold. It's supposed to look like a natural stone. So just a little bit too shiny. And the pearl aspects of it I don't like. But the tip of it, which you probably can't see, the tip of it is different than the other one. And because of that, it writes like I enjoy writing with it so much that I take more notes now because it's a pleasure that it comes out perfect. It works better than ballpoint pens that I've used. You ever use a ballpoint pen? Usually they're great. But you ever get a ballpoint pen where you go to write and it just engraves a little line in the paper with no ink in it? Like the ball's it's dried up and it's not rolling. It's not spreading the ink out. So you have to like kind of scribble on the paper to loosen the ball up and then it starts writing. Like that's annoying. That's an annoying feature of a ballpoint pen. In general, they're pretty great because the ink doesn't dry up and all this stuff, but whatever. It writes better than that. It writes so good. I got the medium nib on it, but it's my favorite pen. I'm so glad. The only downside, the only possible frustration I might have with it is the fact that the ink reservoir to refill is kind of small. So I might have to refill it more often. But I always have ink. I have tons of ink, so that's not an issue. But I love it. I did a little bit of drawing with it. I'm not a fan of I don't know. Because I paint with ink, I enjoy using a brush more so than a pencil or a pen to draw. So I could draw with it, but I do enjoy like just writing regular notes with it is so enjoyable, so pleasurable. It is the satisfaction I get from it is it's ridiculous that a pen could do that, but I enjoy it so much. It is my new favorite tool that I've gotten. It's not the cheapest pen, but it's as far as an investment, like it's a pen that I will be able to use for the rest of my life. It's a well-made pen, well-made manufacturer from a well-known manufacturer that as long as I can refill the ink, it will work as a pen. So I'm good. And I have a backup fountain pen for whatever reason, which I enjoyed, but it felt like I'd kind of broken in that first pen where it started to write a little bit better. But after writing with this one, it's just like, it's the difference between like the pen gliding over the page and the pen kind of feel like I'm scraping it. Like the first one felt more like a scrape, and the new pen feels more like it's just gliding over the paper and the ink's coming out effortlessly. But yeah, so that's my new. This this week, kind of the surprisingly how much I enjoyed that new pen. And then there was a reality show, one more thing that I found on Netflix from 2001. It's called The Mole, and it's like a reality show that's kind of a cross between The Amazing Race and The Circle, because it's I don't know, 10 people who don't know each other, and they have to solve mysteries. So they have to, like, instead of it being like a race, like scavenger hunt kind of a thing with Amazing Race, like these people have to work together to solve, quote unquote, like crimes or whatever. So the premise of the show is interesting. The cast of the show is crazy, because the cast for season 1 is mostly white people, and then like I think they had like one Mexican and 2 black people. And the first 3 people to be eliminated were the people of I believe the first 3, at least the first 2, were the non-whites. And extremely quick, that it became relative, noticeable. Let's go with that word. How white the cast was. But it's an interesting kind of a premise, because it has that open world kind of gameplay of Amazing Race, but one or two, like multiple people, can be moles, can be people that are working for production to throw them off. So that kind of deception angle to it reminds me of The Circle, and the kind of the catfish situations that The Circle can have. So I enjoyed it. I didn't finish watching season 1, but it's a reality show that it did 2 seasons. So I'm kind of interested to see where it goes in the second season, to see if they, tighten things up a bit. And it clearly seems like it could be manipulated more than other things, but it's kind of enjoyable. Kind of a weird reality show that I'd never heard of, but it's an interesting premise. But probably a nightmare to produce, I would imagine. But anyway, that's been my week. Been obsessed with a fountain pen. That's where my life's at, people. I hope you are having a good week. Hope you're having fun. Hope you're vaccinated by now. Go get vaccinated. If you're not, the pandemic is still real. The Delta variant is still out there. And it's more dangerous, easier to transmit. And you just don't want to be clumped up with. I mean, it's just disappointing at this point. If you're not vaccinated and you get, it's just sad. You're really showing your delusion is becoming your enemy. Like, at some point, you need to realize that science is a legitimate thing, and that just believing in something to be true is not enough for it to be true. But that being said, that is it for this episode of Rona Dayz. Until next week, be good. Get yourself $25 in new credit when you sign up for your great new cell phone service over at Ting. Go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. Sign up now with that link, and you get yourself $25 to put towards a new device, put towards your service. But it's a great quality service that you do not pay an arm and a leg for. I love it. I've been using it for years and pay so very little. I could almost pay 2 months of my cell phone bill with $25 credit that you get for free when you go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. That's TING, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!